Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to Stellaris with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome to the brand new DLC, Megacorp, and welcome to our newest empire, the Cult of Thorn, which is what you get if you have the Cacti from a previous playthrough and the Skrek from a previous playthrough, and mix them together. All of their spiritualism and all of their greed rolled into one glorious, remarkably evil package. This is going to be a very, very fun playthrough, at least in terms of the style of playthrough, because this is really evil and just so different to everything before the DLC and, of course, the new update, which has changed everything. So I am doing this in a regular playthrough format, at least I believe I will, heavily edited, just like the full playthrough series, but most likely over the course of 4 or 5 episodes, because there is so much to learn. I've been playing all day trying to get the basics sorted, and I will try and explain everything as I go, but seriously, the amount of changes to the game which have happened are just utterly ridiculous. So I will be getting things wrong, I will be doing things a little bit weirdly, but it's going to be a lot of fun playing as a subversive cult. This government is structured like a religious cult that relies on a variety of criminal and corporate enterprises to sustain itself, with criminal heritage and gospel of the masses. So let's get into the Empire straight away then. Now, I will note that quite a few of these things I will need to explain once we get into the game itself, because unless you've seen the game and all of the changes, some of these just make no sense. They're brand new stats, brand new modifiers, and yet they just don't make sense unless you know what they're talking about. So we are a corporate authority. This is very similar to the oligarchy in that we have every 20 years a brand new election electing a new ruler. But because we are corporate, we have the admin cap increased by 20. This means our empire can be a little bit bigger before we start getting modifiers. Now, normally in the old game before the patch, every time you grab a new system or grab a new colony, your tech instantly became more expensive and so did your traditions. Well, now you have a cap. As soon as you go over that cap, then those modifiers start to affect things. But from what I've seen, they may be a little bit more harsh, and you can certainly increase that cap. It seems to really stop people from heavy expansion early on. Well, at least that's how I seem to be perceiving it. I may be wrong there, but it's definitely an interesting take, because well, you now have a cap you need to take into account. You need to actually plan things a little bit better, which will most likely ruin me on several runs. But then we have the Empire size penalty increased by 50%, if I can indeed say it, and that penalty is what happens when you go over that cap. So you can be a little bit larger than usual, but if you go past that limit, well, it's gonna hurt very quickly. Other than that, we are fanatic spiritualists, meaning we get more unity and a reduced edict cost, as always, and we are authoritarian, meaning we get more influence and our workers have a higher output. Now, when you get into the game, you will quickly notice there are several types of citizens. No longer are there just one single group. Now we have different levels, different strata to our people, and they have things like worker, leader, specialist. You get the idea. The workers are at the very bottom and do the more manual labor jobs. These are things like working in the power plants, mining, food production, at least on the lower levels, and nothing which is specialized. Authoritarian is very good with their workers, at least in terms of getting their output. We could be egalitarian, honestly. We could just do this and it wouldn't change anything, and this would make our specialists better and allow our factions to give more influence. And I am very tempted by that, but I also like the idea of this, the stratified economy, which I believe is pretty darn mean on the workers. But that's the whole thing. I'm leaving it like that because that's how the old Cactus Combine were. They were very cruel to their underlings. Over to civics, and we have criminal heritage. This megacorporation can trace its origins back to a crime syndicate that eventually grew powerful enough to supplant all forms of local government. You cannot form commercial pacts, which would normally generate energy. You cannot join federations. However, you can build branch offices on any regular empire's planets, as long as you are not at war with them or have a truce with them. And the branch office allows you to build special buildings on their planet, which will increase the value of the branch office, giving you more energy because that's what the branch office does, but also it has effects on the planet itself. I believe, it seems like, it actually gives bonuses to the planet. unless you're a criminal heritage sort of empire, in which case it still gives some bonuses, I believe, but then it also causes crime rate to increase. And crime on branch office planets will increase the branch office value. Now, what crime does is essentially it causes people to be less happy on the planet, it seems, but also it causes negative events to occur. So we're essentially sabotaging the planet and getting energy in the process. We're stealing from them, we are thieves, we are going to be really, really annoying. Like a Thorn. Next up, we have Gospel of the Masses. This megacorporation embraces a curious blend of commercial and spiritualistic values, in which the positions of ordained minister and corporate officer have merged into a single role. Now, first of all, this does seem to be really powerful, at least it looks really powerful, but when you combine these two together, you get Subversive Cult. And how could I possibly ever resist that? So what this does is that spiritualist population will give additional trade value. So the more spiritualists you have, the more money you have, essentially, because trade value gets converted into resource on your capital, and you can move trade value around via trading routes, which I'll get into once we get into the game itself. So just way more energy the more spiritualist you are, and spiritualist ethics attraction is increased by 50%, so lots of lovely, lovely passive money coming in. You can also build the Temple of Prosperity corporate building, which I believe is on the branch offices, although you do get unique branch offices already for criminal heritage. I don't know if you get all of them if you combine these two, but we will see. And once again, this is what makes us a subversive cult, and how could I ever resist that? I believe also, if you use the trade value, you can also use it for things like unity down the line. I know you can definitely make energy, because that's the default, but then I believe you can also trade it in for other things. So either way, having that as an additional passive, very, very powerful, at least in the early game. I don't know how powerful it is later on, but for now, it seems pretty good. We are, of course, the Cacti. We are the Cash Cactus. We are currently using just the regular naming system, since I find that the easiest to keep track of, and we are thrifty and rapid breeders, because populations can get pretty insane with the new patch. You can have, I believe it's 75, when a planet stops having additional building slots, because building slots are based on how much population you have, and then there's also districts, and there is so many other things, but it really seems like the breeders are the way to go. Lots and lots of people very quickly. With Thrifty, we are getting additional trade value once again, because I want to see just how powerful trade value can indeed become. We are sedentary, and we are decadent. Now, decadent and sedentary have both been changed, but in my opinion, decadent by far more. Slave happiness reduced and worker happiness reduced, so this will cause some problems. But it's the Cash Cacti. They are brutal to anyone they lord over. There is no reason why they would not have this trait, and I couldn't rationalize it, and so we have it. So, yeah, our workers are going to loathe us. A little bit silly here, I actually forgot to do this, so here we are with Money Marble, which orbits the Sterling Star, just as it was with the Cash Cacti. Now, we do have some brand new voices, and I am torn between two of them, but let's have a look-see at all three, shall we?
As the learned say, what's yours is mine, and what's mine is also mine.
Very on the nose, greedy, and very, very capitalist. Then we have the worker, and by the sickle, I think you can tell what it's going for.
The springs of cooperation flow most abundant. Those who need will receive. Those who make will make wonders. The springs of workers of the galaxy, unite. You have nothing to lose but your restraining fields.
Don't let the baseless accusations of wrongdoing fool you. Our competitors are simply projecting their own insecurities. Here at Megacorp, we always put your future first.
I've got to be honest, Slick Corporation sounds so ominous when it speaks. So many things it says, it just seems like it's hiding this really evil interior. And I'm very tempted by Slick Corporation. These two are kind of the competitors here. Ruthless Conglomerate or Slick Corporation.
Our goal is to create a galactic system that maximizes innovative self-actualization and redefines future-proof solutions for every stage of a customer's life. Megacorp, we're with you every step of the way.
I don't want you there every step of the way. You terrify me.
As the learned say, What's yours is mine, and what's mine is also mine. To live is to consume.
I think that the Ruthless Conglomerate is a little bit more on the nose, a little bit more obvious with its intentions, and so we are sticking with that. We are, of course, the Cult of Thorn, we are using the Plantoid ships, and our leader is Trade Lord Thorn. And so we get into the difficulty. So what I'm thinking is we don't have advanced starts, because, as always, I absolutely hate that. Let's have 10 AI Empires to make it a bit more interesting, but then what I'm going to do is I am going to increase the crisis strength to 1.5. Let's increase it to 2, but then leave the start and end years the same, because I really, really don't want to rush this first playthrough, because I have to test out so many different things. Victory year is off, because I just really do not like this at all. At least, I don't know, maybe I'll like it more in practice, but I don't like the concept of it. Just having the victory decided by the highest score after a certain amount of time. I'd rather have the more standard victory conditions. Although, I guess, with the victory year, it would also involve your economy. Huh. It is still possible to keep playing past this year. Sure then. No, I'd still rather have the standard stuff. Let's just leave that as it is. Difficulty, let's increase that, because I do want the enemy AI to have some bonuses, even though I am still relearning the game. So let's go with Commodore. Yeah, the AI gets moderate bonuses to its economy, research, and naval capacity. I'm tempted to have that a little bit higher, or maybe even a bit lower, I don't know. The thing is, I'm not going to play optimally this time around, because I want to test out lots of different things, and I really want to focus on an energy-centric empire. And I don't even know if that's viable in the late game. I don't know anything, which I absolutely love. I can't wait for this playthrough. So I don't want to be forced to min-max things. I want to learn the game as it goes, and at the same time I do want a challenge, so I think Commodore is the best option. Yes, let's go with that. Anything else good? Okay then, let's finally begin. Here we are then, starting off the game near the center of the galaxy, and I have a lot of things to talk about, so, as you can probably tell, the changes are rather drastic. This is our planet screen, and it looks really complex, but don't worry, it's a lot more simple than it looks. You just need to understand a few basic concepts and then work on top of those, so hopefully I can explain them as briefly as possible. It's still very, very different though. So rather than having a population on the old grid system, we instead have the population over here. We have rulers, specialists, and workers, and their class completely depends on the job they have, and they will always try to get the best job. So if I create a new specialist job by creating a new building over here, let's say I build civilian industries, it will create a artisan, and the artisan is a specialist job. Well, one of the workers will instantly convert into a specialist, and then they will be higher ranking in the whole job system here, in the job ladder. So the main thing to take away is just the workers will become specialists, specialists will become rulers if possible, and they will leave their jobs, and they are working the job, not the building. If you know those two things, you can quickly make sure to not micromanage incorrectly, and then, well, you could have some of these jobs no longer being available, and then suddenly, oh look, all of my minerals are gone, because some of the specialist jobs require minerals. Here is a great example. The artisans will turn minerals into consumer goods. Now, consumer goods used to literally just be minerals, it's the cost of having a population, but now they are a separate thing, and each population needs consumer goods, so that's just been separated, so now there is a bit of a tier system when it comes to different resources. Later on, you turn consumer goods into other things. In fact, I already am. Consumer goods here into research. It's all just numbers, really, and it is easier than it looks, I swear. It's just learning the basics. It took me a while, and even now I'm not sure if I'm perfectly there, but I understand it enough. It's worth mentioning now that the size of your planet does not indicate how many buildings you can have. That is instead dictated by just how many populations you have. So if you have lots and lots of population, then you can have lots and lots of buildings, all the way up to 75, which will unlock all of these building slots. The building slots normally give you more specialized jobs, things which the specialists will do, and occasionally ruler jobs or modifiers to everything, whereas the districts, which also act like buildings, are indeed tied to the planet size. So, our starting planet is size 20. which means we can have 20 districts, although currently we do have 3 tile blockers, which are blocking 3 of them, so very similar to the old system. These will provide housing and the basic jobs, so things like the power plants, for instance, the technicians, miners, farmers, and clerks. Now, clerks are a bit weird, because what these do is create trade value, which we mentioned earlier, at least I mentioned quite a lot when creating this species. Trade value can be traded into energy as long as it gets to the capital. I'll touch on that later when we have some trade routes. All you need to know for now is it creates energy, which is lovely, or I can change it so it creates energy and unity, or energy and consumer goods. We also have the city district, which gives loads of housing but no jobs, so it's all a balancing act really between these two and just how many population points you have. The last thing to understand is just this, and it's just stability. It's a really simple idea. Your happiness will feed into it, so the happier your people are, the greater your stability, and things like crime will reduce it. If you are above 50, you will get a bonus to your resource production, and if you're below 50, you either don't get the bonus, or in fact get a negative modifier, giving you less resources, less trade value, and ultimately making your planet a lot worse. And that is how we are going to harm nearby enemies. We are going to cause crime in their planets, causing this to go down. Because we are criminals, and that's just what we do. Is there anything else really to talk about? I don't think there is anything major, honestly. So, let's build a temple, our first proper building. This will give us 2 priest jobs, which will be specialist jobs, and they will give us unity, society research, and amenities. So, the amenities are over here, and what they are is just things that your citizenship needs. It's the infrastructure for your citizenship, and if you have a lot of these, you get more happiness, which feeds into stability. If you have too few, then they will be upset, and thus stability is reduced. So you do like lots and lots of those, and this thankfully produces it. And it's also the temple, so more ethics attraction, and more unity and society research, although this will be actively using consumer goods. Once again, a bit more micromanaging. I feel like the game now is going to be perhaps a bit more difficult to watch, perhaps a bit more difficult to get into. But all of this micromanagement, I think, is going to lead to very custom empires and different ways of playing, so I am really excited to get into this, and hopefully, I won't do terribly in my first full playthrough. I guess I should really talk about trade value a little bit more. So where does trade value actually come from? Well, it comes from your planets. It comes from certain jobs, and it can even be found in space, although it does need to be funneled back to your capital to be used. If we go over here to the trade routes, currently we only have our main station, so there's no routes actually being used. We'll talk about those more in the future, but that's our total trade value. The trade capital will give you the true amount. And with that, we are currently getting 42, which is being converted into energy. So jobs found in space, which is then collected by shipyards and funneled back to the Empire capital. And by shipyard, I just mean star bases of any type, really, as long as they have a trade station on them. It's no shocker, we are going into discovery first. Then I'm very tempted by prosperity. Very, very tempted indeed. But I'm actually tempted by expansion as well, because we get a greater population growth speed, and our admin cap is increased, which is currently 50. So as you can see, every district increases it, every system we grab increases it, every colony increases it, and if we go over it, that's when we start getting negatives to our unity and science production. Or at least they cost more. Currently, we have no negatives at all. It definitely promotes a slower start, I will say that much. We are going very, very heavily into science vessels this early on. I want as many anomalies as possible, as soon as possible. I also want to find our neighbours so we can start being the nuisances we are destined to be. Now, one thing I should mention is the science vessels, in fact, I think all ships, no longer are built with minerals. Instead, they are built with alloy. And how do you get that? I hear you scream. Similar to the consumer goods, you have a specific building, which gives you specific jobs, which can then convert minerals. So if we go to our population, specialists, there we are turning 12 minerals into 4 alloy. 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 Okay, apparently every word today is going to sound weird for me to say. That's good. That's a good start.
Boom. We built something.
Boom indeed. Behold the glory that is the market. Look at its beautifulness. So, the market is one of the best things in the game at the moment. It is really that good. Because, in my opinion, it will allow very, very, very greedy playthroughs. And I love high economy plays. So, with the market, we can trade energy for pretty much anything else. Well, all of the basic stuff, not the strategic resources, which we will need a lot of later. Similar to a lot of the other stuff we're currently building, like consumer goods, we can create a lot of them on buildings. But the problem is, they are very expensive, and we need them for very specific other buildings. There's actually several levels to the crafting tiers now, which is both awesome and difficult to grasp, at least for someone like me. So with this, if I purchase something, the cost per unit will go up. So normally it's better to purchase a whole section at once, but I couldn't afford to do that, so I just had to click this several times. Just to showcase how this works, I do actually want some food, so what I'm going to do is trade 500 minerals. As you can see now, trading now gives me less energy per mineral. This will eventually go back to normal. And then I'm going to purchase some food, which I'm going to have to do several times because I can't afford the next tier up, although I could just sell some of these. There we go. So now I have 1,000 food. That 1,000 food can then be used over here to increase my population growth. But yeah, I absolutely adore the market system, because it means energy can be traded into anything at a moment's notice. And eventually we will have the galactic market, which links all of the empires. But for now, we just have our little internal market.
Anomaly detected.
Do I grab this world, is the question. Now thankfully, one thing has been changed here. Per colony, your empire size only grows by 2. However, per district, it also increases by 1, and per system also by 1. So much larger planets will increase your empire size more drastically. But at the same time, it's still definitely advisable to get the bigger planets. It's just not quite as extreme, at least from my first viewing of this. Though I would really love a first planet straight away. How much will this cost me? More than I currently have. I could purchase this quite easily, though. I already have enough of this. Don't know why it's in red for, considering I clearly have more than 200. I have 318. The food I have now, so why can't I... Oh, because we're just waiting for one resource, it reds out all of them. Okay. And research stations will now give me more research. So, yeah, all science vessels now come equipped with assist research. In fact, I really should use that. Since I am going to add some more science buildings right now, in fact. Where are you? Research labs. So these will give us 2 research jobs. Lovely. I don't actually want that many workers, funnily enough. Because we're making them so unhappy. And thankfully, all of our scientists, all of our spiritualists will give us bonus trade. And that trade is being traded for energy anyway. So a spiritualist researcher will indeed be giving us energy passively. I believe.
Analyzed.
Well, I guess we still do need quite a few workers. It's just, it's nice that every other job will also give us some energy. But we still need minerals and food and everything else. And energy. I like energy. We are currently losing consumer goods. Now, the reason for that is because we just built our new research labs, which are consuming consumer goods actively and turning them into research. And that is where the micromanagement comes in. Now, thankfully, we're not losing too many. Being a little bit in the red because of the market isn't really a big deal. Just need to keep an eye on it, and the next time I can, we should build another one of these, civilian industries, to get more consumer goods. And then all should be well and good. Should be, at least. Ooh, a 22-size planet. Lovely. And the system is providing a little bit of trade value. Now, trade value is automatically siphoned off as long as you have, ta-da, the trade hub. And every time you add a new trade hub to your starport, it increases the range that they can siphon from. So right now, we have +1 range, which means our main system can drain from here, 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 and here, but no further. So if we go over there, we just need 1 trading hub to grab that, and then we can transfer via a trade route back to our capital, which will then convert it into energy.
Boom. We built something.
I'm starting to not like this voice quite as much as I thought I would.
Resource scan complete.
It's not terrible, it just isn't gelling with me. Building our first new district. We are building a generator district on Money Marble. And let's increase our population growth speed. That's always very nice indeed. Okay, so we're heading towards this, the desert world, and then, probably, for this, the 25 savannah world. Now, the problem with this is that it's only 60% habitability, and as you can see, the negatives are, in my opinion, far worse than before the update. The population upkeep is increased, and they will also use more of the amenities, so... is that worth it? I don't know. I really don't. Also, that's one of those words I just never hear out loud, so I always pronounce it differently almost every time I say it. That's one of the weird things with my speech impediment. Since I had speech therapy, if I don't use the word often, I end up just forgetting how it's pronounced, since I have to speak in a very distinct way to not stammer. To not stammer, rather. Good job I don't talk for a living or something weird like that. Discovery is now finished, meaning we get plus 10% research speed. I've also went ahead and got technological ascendancy. Now, there are plenty of new things when it comes to the ascension perks, but since I don't want this video to be too long, we'll discuss those in future episodes when they're more applicable. Although right now, we have our very first trade route. So what's happening here is that this station is gathering a grand total of 2 whole trade value, and then sending it along all the way to the capital. The problem is here. As you can see here, we have piracy. Now, this will very slowly build up and start to steal some of our trade value before it gets to the capital. And if it gets too high, it can also start making stations and pirate fleets. That's how the new pirate system works. Now, to fix this, we have patrol, a brand new order you can give to your fleet, which does exactly what you might think it will do. It will allow it to patrol systems, but since we only have one system this is going through, all we need to do is just sit that there. Because the stations themselves give defense to their own systems. So once you get there, what will happen is that all of that piracy will reset. There we go, we're back to minimal, and as long as I'm here, there'll be no problem whatsoever. Since now the second trade hub has been built, what is now occurring is we are getting the value from over there. If I click this, I'm actually clicking on it, there we are. We're getting 7 from there, 2 from there, so a grand total of 9 is now being traded. What next then? I'm so tempted between expansion, prosperity, and harmony. All of them give us such great bonuses. I'm thinking maybe prosperity, just because this here. City districts provide more clerks, specialists have plus 5% output, that will be our scientists and everything else. And even our mining stations are more effective. And then this weird merchant job, which I have no idea what that is. Is it a really powerful job for our populace? Is it just a decent one? I really don't know. And because it's new, we're going with prosperity. We have found caravanners. They just randomly arrived in Money Marble. So what they're offering is for 200 minerals, we can increase our max districts by 2. And our max generator districts by 3. For only 200 minerals? Yes. Definitely yes. You are more than welcome for that. Thank you.
Technology acquired.
There it is. Well, that's pretty darn awesome. However, the caravanners then stole 200 energy. Still worth it, though. I would have paid 200 energy and 200 minerals for that. So, worth it, just annoying. Okay, so this is our first building, which can indeed create consumer goods, but costs a special resource, one of the strategic resources. Since I can't currently use that, I'll just increase our mining stations. I am very, very tempted to colonize this. But that will push us to the edge of our empire size. But it is a 25 size planet, and that would make this little core section here really powerful. And I think it's worth it. I really do. So, what we're going to do is declare a saint once more. We're going to activate healthcare campaigns to get our people populated as soon as possible. We're then going to sell all of our minerals, or at least most of them, and grab some of these, and then we'll colonize. Now, one more thing to note is now you have special types of planets. If you build one type of building a lot in a planet, that planet will then specialize in that particular thing, like a generation planet or a farming planet, which will then give you bonuses to that type of production. Which means we really should think about specializing our colonies. Of course, at the moment, they're still very early on, so can't really do that, but still, something to think about for later. We have found the alien box event, which means if I go with the green solution, it will allow us to have more habitability. The red solution will be strong, which is minerals, and blue is a longer lifespan for our leaders. I would much rather have the habitability. Bioadaptability trait. Excellent. Wait, biohabitability? Is that different to the old habitability? By adding bio to it? Oh, it's only plus 5%. That has been really heavily nerfed. That used to give you the... Right, did it give you the level 2 adaptability, which is 20%, or just the regular? I don't know, but 5% is much weaker. But I guess it will probably stack with the regular adaptability, so in a way, it's slightly better, just... For now, it's kind of not. Still nice, though. Still makes these other colonies more viable. The specialist will now give me 5% more resource. Lovely. Okay, so for now, we have really slowed ourselves down by having a grand total of 4 planets. Oh, and one of them is in a different sector. Yeah, so sectors work differently now. As you can see, everything is in a sector, and if I wanted to, I could actually have them automated already. Which is interesting, to say the least. In fact, I could already make a vassal right now, but I'm not going to. All planets are now getting the plus 25% population growth, and our capital is going to have this, distribute luxury goods. There we are. That should up the stability by increasing the happiness. There we go, not by much, but still, probably worth it. Probably worth it. So I've decided we're also going to expand over here. There are 2 really good arid worlds just sitting here. Which means I really do need to go into expansion, because that will increase our empire size cap. And because we're corporate, once we go over this, it's a plus 50% negative modifier to everything. So, yeah, we really need that cap if we want those 2 planets. And even then, we're still going to most likely go over the cap. But I think because of all these planets and being good planets and not too many systems, it's probably worth it in the long run. Probably. We have found the home world of our precursors. Okay, you get there right now. And you continue to go around, and same to you. You're getting those 2, right? Good. Actually, in fact, all 3. That is very, very good indeed. Sadly, this is really far away, so we won't get the system, which will give us bonus science and minerals and everything else, but it will still give us all that lovely bonus unity for being captured. At the moment, our unity isn't particularly good because, well, we've got lots of new colonies, none of them really generating unity yet. It isn't particularly fantastic. Hello, homeworld. Thank you very, very much indeed. I want that more, so let's grab that, grab this. Almost can afford the last one. At least we're very close to getting the end of prosperity.
Technology acquired.
I don't think I've done the best thing here with this start, but I think it's going to really pay off later.
Bleeding-edge technology discovered.
The problem is much later. Which is good though, because, well, we found no neighbours yet. How on earth have we found no one? Oh yeah, I forgot you can do this if you're a spiritualist. The constant calculator. We found the Infinity Stone. The Infinity Stone, the Infinity Machine. That's something completely different. Okay, the Infinity Machine. And we could declare it a divine instrument and just leave it there, giving us a permanent plus 5% happiness to everyone. But I would much rather have the bonus science. Hello, hello. Could we help you? Okay, let's get some research done. Well, I'm afraid I am all out of time for today's episode. I don't know if I've been playing this exactly correctly, but it has been a lot of fun trying to get to grips with some of the new stuff, and hopefully we'll get to see more of the new stuff as time goes by. I really want to find some neighbours already, so that we can start doing the whole criminal stuff, because that's the whole point of this empire. Either way, though, if you have enjoyed the video, then of course, likes, favourite, shares, comments, all that good stuff, helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that Stellaris is a series you wish to see continued in the future. Next time, hopefully more stuff will happen. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Also, hopefully I explained things well. I don't know if I did.